Welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel. I am Jessica James, and today we have joining with us Lori Johnson and Amy Mashinsky and Eli of the Northwest Pennsylvania Canine Search and Rescue Team. And I know this is going to be a very informative and fun show for everybody. We actually have one of our furry friends, Eli, on the set with us today. Lori is the treasurer of the organization, and Amy is the ASRC field team member and handler for her canine Eli. Thank you so much for both being here today.
Thanks
I really appreciate it.
Thank
I know
you.
It's your first time here taping on this set with the Millcreek Government Channel, and I am just really excited to tell everybody what you guys do, what your mission statement is, and how this all works. So if you don't mind, first and foremost, I think we can cut away to a shot of Eli here, but please tell us, what kind of dog is Eli?
Eli, his mother was a treeing walker, and his father was a red tick coonhound.
Oh my gosh, and what does that mean? Is he a hunting dog?
So he is a hound mix. Predominantly they are known for hunting, yes.
Okay, but he also makes for a good search and rescue dog.
Yes, he does earn his keep.
Okay, and Lori, tell me, what is the mission of the Northwest PA Canine Search and Rescue Team?
Well, we're an all-volunteer nonprofit organization that really works to help individuals come back together with their loved ones. So we have a lot of different types of searches that we're able to work on. We're one of the largest, most comprehensive search teams in this area.
Wow.
We have a lot of different things to offer. We have obviously canines. We do a lot of canine search work, but we also work on incident management, planning, organization, and also extrication when somebody is found. So
Really?
We're a pretty big team, and we do a lot of different things.
Wow, and so when did the organization begin?
It began in 2008 as an organization, and the individuals that started this organization came from another team that was located more toward Pittsburgh. So they wanted something more regional, and it began there, and it's really grown since then.
That's wonderful. I think that's great that we're bringing it this far north, because apparently we didn't really have something like this too much
Yes.
beforehand, right? Okay, so what parts of Erie County do you guys cover?
We actually cover 6 counties in Northwest Pennsylvania. We cover Erie, Forest, Mercer, Warren County, as well as Venango and Crawford. We are also on something called a Pennsylvania One Call system, that if there is a need across the state, we can be called in to go anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania if needed. We're also looking to branch out into our nearby states.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I don't know why I thought that you guys were just Erie County, but I didn't realize how far your reach was, which is amazing. I mean, you guys are doing such good things for the community. Tell me, how many dogs and handlers participate in this program?
We have 14 dogs on the team right now with their handlers. We have a total of 21 members altogether.
Okay.
A couple of our members that aren't that aren't canine handlers are also search responders. They go out in the field and they help look for people and learn all the skills, but they're not handling a dog. And then we have a handful of auxiliary as well.
Sure. So you don't have to be a dog handler to be involved in the
Exactly.
organization. Okay, great. I think that's wonderful. Tell me, what are some of the benefits then? Because it looks like we're using a little bit of, humans, human teams to search and rescue, as well as, the canines. Tell me, how these partner well together, or why it is so good to use canines in search and rescue missions.
Well, a lot of times canines have a tendency to cover a large area in a shorter amount of time than it would take for the humans to do the search. We do utilize a lot of our resources, whether you're just a canine handler or just a search responder. The canines, like I said, help speed up the search, if you will. We utilize different tools, such as our trailing dogs that can determine the direction of travel if the subject or which way the subject left. And then if we have larger areas to cover, over 100 acres or so, that could take a very long time for regular, just search responders to search that entire area.
Right.
So we utilize our air scent team and air scent dogs to cover a larger span in a much shorter amount of time, which cuts down on bringing the subject back safely.
And we all know that dogs' noses are so much stronger than human noses, so that's probably another reason that adds to why they're probably better at finding or searching,
They're
then
using that nose.
yeah, exactly. So can any type of breed be a search dog, be a good search dog?
There definitely are specific traits that one should look into when picking out a search dog or a canine that you want to utilize for search. Size is definitely an issue, as far as, the bigger the dog, the shorter the lifespan, also the mobility of the dog. Something like a Great Dane, probably not your best option for a search dog.
Sure.
There also is the stamina of the dog. Are they high drive? Are they low drive? What is their thrivingness for, to work?
Right.
Do they want to work? Do they enjoy what they're doing? What's their temperament like? Their age is definitely a factor. We do not recommend any dogs over the age of 2, just because you want to maximize the amount of time that it takes to train the dog, and then the life expectancy of the dog, you want to utilize it to its fullest potential.
Right.
So
then is there a lot of turnover, or, the organization being from 2000, starting in 2008 is fairly new itself, or do you always have to constantly train new dogs?
no, you would be quite surprised, because a lot of the canines we start on the team are generally, they are always under the age of 2, and a lot of them are puppies. A lot of them are actually under the age of 1. And the sooner you can start the dog in search and rescue and teaching them the tricks of the trade, the better off you are. So there really is not a huge turnover that you would think.
Okay. And are all breeds or do you prefer purebreds or mixed breeds, or, a dog that you adopt at the shelter that's very young, but you think has great potential could be a
We
search
have
and
a
rescue
wide
dog?
variety on our team. As far as we do have some purebreds, we have some coming all the way from Germany, the German lines of the German Shepherd. We also have the mixed breeds, and we have I believe 2 of our dogs are from the Humane Society here in Erie.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Eli himself is a rescue, where he's obviously a mix. But he is also a part of the AKC Unite program. So it's a wide variety. It doesn't, there really is no limitation as far as whether it's a mutt, if
Yeah.
you will, or you picked him up from a shelter,
Right.
or you got him from a reputable breeder.
Sure, and I do picture, like you said, you mentioned the German Shepherds, and I do picture the Border Collies,
Yes.
that type of breed doing this, just because, we have a family Border Collie at home, and the dog is just so willing to please you, do absolutely every command as soon as you say it, it's doing it. And I was just telling you earlier, we don't even give the dog commands, we talk in full sentences,
Right.
so I'm sure you guys are used to that with the Border Collie breeds as well.
Yes.
So that's what I picture, at least when when I picture search and rescue, but that doesn't have to be the case. You
Right,
guys have a variety of breeds.
We have a variety of breeds. We have some German Shepherds. We have some Labs on the team. We have a Golden Retriever. We have a Standard Schnauzer on the team. We have an Airedale, a Pit Bull, our Treeing Walker Coonhound. So we have a wide variety.
That's wonderful. That's so great. So what's done, and you talked about training a little bit, and the better, the earlier you can start them, the better. And as we kind of know that with, just when you're training your dog for regular, sit, stay, come. But what is done to train the dogs? And I guess maybe more importantly, what's done to train the humans to do this?
Well, we have a quite rigorous training schedule. The team is out every Sunday. We're training probably 6 to 8 hours a week minimum, and that's just the organized training. We also have additional trainings that are added during the month. So the dogs are working all of the time. It takes about 2 years of rigorous training to get a dog ready to be certified in its particular area of expertise. Along with that, our training for our for the search responders and for the canine handlers includes things like learning to use your map and compass and GPS, and how to read the wind direction, because working dogs, you don't just say, here's a field, go find somebody. We have to figure out exactly how they're to approach that area and how to use the weather to the best advantage. So there's a lot of things that go into it.
That's actually a lot more than I expected, because you're right, when you see these searches, on TV where you see the canines are involved, I guess you don't see everything that goes in behind the scenes as far as wind direction and, the weather and the forecast and things like that. Are there different specialties for each dog? Like you kind of mentioned, some were better at trails, some were better at, I think you said long distance scents. So does each dog have its own niche and you call that dog for one rescue and another dog for a different rescue?
Yes, there are different disciplines that the dogs are. There's the trailing dogs, there are air scent dogs, and then there are the human remains detection dogs. The main difference is, the air scent dogs can clear a much wider area in a short amount of time. So they can clear hundreds of acres in a short amount of time. Their task, though, is to come back to the handler and alert to the handler that they have found someone. Anyone. They are trained to find any living person in that area.
And what would that be used under? Like, what sort of emergency or what type of situation would call for that type of dog?
Sometimes hunters might get turned around in the woods.
Oh, okay.
Or they may have flagged where, they are going back in to retrieve, what they are hunting, and they might get lost or whatever have you. A lot of times we'll get, searches for that. So we could be in a major game land and have a couple hundred acres to cover, and we would need to utilize a dog that is going to be, a high drive, high speed, and able to cover such a large area.
Yeah.
Then you have your trailing dogs, and they are scent discriminated. So they're trained to find a specific person.
Okay.
Where the air scent dogs is trained to find a person. So there's a little bit of a difference between the two. Sometimes we would utilize a trailing dog to determine a direction of travel if maybe a child with autism wandered off, or a person with Alzheimer's may have left their home and wanted to go for a walk, and now the family is unsure where they were or where they are. You would utilize a trailing dog to determine a direction of travel and try to piece the puzzle together to find the person.
Sure.
And then we would go from there.
Okay, and so does each dog, what's Eli's specialty? I think you already mentioned it.
Yeah, Eli is definitely a trailing dog.
A trailing dog,
yes.
Okay. All right, and then but each dog kind of has their own niche. So if you have a specific call come in, you would say, okay, we need this type of dog. And I see him wandering around the set right now. You would have certain dogs called out for certain missions.
Correct.
Okay. And then I think you mentioned there was a third type for human remains. Now, how do you go about, can you maybe give me some of the commands that you teach the dogs, or, specifically what type of training goes into it?
The dogs start out very, very simple in what we call a puppy runaway. And a puppy runaway is when the owner gets the dog very, very excited, the owner runs away, and the dog goes and gets them. The big prize at the end for any of the dogs, no matter what discipline they're doing, is their reward. And every dog has a different reward that is important to them. So if Eli loves liver, his reward is liver, and the only time he gets liver is when he finds somebody.
And that's his treat? You're shaking your head, yes.
He's a food.
Yes, he's a chow hound.
Okay.
He is food driven. Other dogs are very motivated by certain toys, or we have a dog that uses a laser light as his reward. So they all find their own reward. Once they get used to the puppy runaway, then we extend it, and they're having a stranger run and hide, and they go and find them. Then we have the stranger go and hide, and the dog doesn't see where they went, so they're starting to use their nose to find that person because they know there'll be a reward at the end. Then we go through some different techniques where we try to determine, is this dog more adaptable to air scent or to trailing, or do they really have a penchant for the human remains? So a dog really focuses on one of those areas until certification. And then once they're certified, they may be able to branch out into a second specialty as well.
Yeah, so they've graduated, and then they can move on.
Right.
Is there anything for any dog that has like a water specialty? I'm sure that's hard. I mean, is that even?
The water specialty comes along with the human remains. When somebody passes away, we all have unique scent. Okay, and I'm going to tell you a minute about how the scent works, because they'll
please
put it
do,
all together.
please do. I'm sure we all mask it too with perfumes and we confuse the dogs.
We try, but it doesn't work.
Okay.
So we actually have about 40,000 skin rafts or cells that are coming off of us every minute. Doesn't sound very lovely, does it? So picture these tiny, tiny, minuscule little cornflake-shaped items just wafting off of you all of the time. That is what the dog is smelling. We all have a unique scent, and that scent is made up on those skin rafts from things like our hygiene products and shampoos and our own, perspiration, and all of those different things just come together to give us a unique scent. I can change my cologne, I can change my shampoo, but the dog is still going to find me. I have that unique scent. So the dogs that are doing the air scent are going out and finding those cones of scent that are coming off of us, and they're finding as the concentration gets bigger, they're getting closer to the person, and that's how they find the person.
Okay.
The trailing dogs like Eli uses a scent article, something that would belong to that person, and they're like, okay, got it, I know what that scent is, and I'm going to go and find where that scent is to find the person. When somebody passes away, our scents all start becoming the same because of the decomposition. So the dogs that are doing the human remains are trained on the one scent, and they're trained to find that in very small amounts, in larger amounts, buried, high, just about everywhere. And believe it or not, they can actually find it underwater.
Can they really?
Yeah. So what happens when if somebody drowns and they're underwater? It's sort of like air bubbles or gas bubbles coming up from that person onto the surface. So the dog is on a boat going over the surface of the water, and they're finding where that concentration of scent is.
So a dog would then be what, in the boat with you
In the
guys?
boat,
You mean
correct.
he's not out swimming or something?
Right.
He's in the boat
He's
with
in
you
the boat.
guys.
Right.
And how would you know that, okay, we are on top of human remains? How does the dog signal that he's found?
The dogs tend to show us how they want to tell us what's going on. Some dogs will sit. Some dogs will bark. Some dogs will lay down. They show us kind of what they're tending to want to do when they're communicating something, and then we train that as their alert.
Right.
So Eli's alert when he finds somebody when he's doing trailing is to sit. So he goes and finds the person, and he must sit. At the end, I have done my job, and I am done.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. And you hear so many positive things about the nose of a dog, and and I've just even started researching myself because I think it's fascinating how dogs can sniff out cancer, or and now I'm learning about human remains underwater, under the ground, and I just think that's fascinating. I really didn't know we emitted this constant shedding of smells, but we do. So kind of just tagging onto that, what are the 3 types of search dog disciplines? And how do they differ from each other? Were those the 3 that?
Those were the 3.
Those were the 3.
Yes.
Okay.
We have the air scent, the trailing, and the human remains.
Okay, great. And then so Eli, I can see him over here peeking at me. What did it take for him to be on the search team? What did he have to go through? And you said he was a shelter dog.
Yes, he's a very low drive dog, so he's very, very laid back. In some respects, different handlers have different perceptions on that. What I needed to do for him was my hardest challenge was to find his paycheck, a high reward paycheck for him, to get him to invest in looking for somebody.
Right, because otherwise they're just disinterested.
Correct.
I went through the same thing with my dog. I could not find that reward
Correct.
that made them interested in doing the trick or the the task for me.
So after we determined, what it was and what he likes, we had to work very, very hard at him basically getting the pieces of the puzzle and putting them all together. And it does, like Lori was saying prior, it does take about 2 years to get the dogs to truly understand what it is you're asking of them to do, and to get them to understand the game. To us, the reward is finding the individual,
Right.
Finding the subject. To the dog, it's the reward at the end. It's not necessarily the person they're looking for, it's their prize.
So they still do get a prize at the
They get a
end when they
prize.
did find, you know, the missing individual in, you know, in real life, in a real situation.
right.
So what are some of the on-the-job tasks that Eli does, or some of the other dogs do? Like I said, we kind of mentioned them going out on boats, so they've got to be comfortable, you know, on the water. I know some dogs don't like that. You know, what are some of the on-the-job?
We try to desensitize them to any type of situation.
Okay.
A lot of times when we're called out to a search, there's a lot of things going on. You have fire trucks, you have police cars, you have noise, you have people, you have commotion. So we try to train them to those situations. If they're working inside a building, we need to train them how to work inside a building. We had the opportunity to teach Eli about an elevator last
Yes,
week, and what an elevator is and how it moves and how it's okay to
And
get
how
on
did-
the elevator.
How did
and
that go?
do
He was afraid of the elevator?
It was his first time encountering an elevator, and again, you know, we're 2 years into this, and you know, you're coming across new things that is like, wow, you know, he's never been on an elevator. So we worked with him. Like he knew. He went into he went to the elevator doors and sat, which is his indication to say the subject went this way.
Right.
So, but once the doors opened, he was like,
I don't want to go in.
what happened? What happened? The doors open. Am I supposed to go in there? So we had to train him and work with him that day. And we spent several hours just basically going in and out of the elevator,
Right.
making sure that he was okay with it. Once we got in the elevator, we would ride the elevator up and down and see how he responded and reacted to it. So it worked out very well.
Sure, and I'm sure now, and Eli is also your pet, not only because I know a lot of service dogs. You know, people say this is not my pet. This is a working dog. You know, please don't come up and pet it. It's doing a job, but he is actually your pet when he is off the
Correct.
job. Okay, so like I said, I can imagine with my own dog. I would love for my own dog to do this, but she's just a little too old and doesn't have quite the focus. But you guys take every precaution to make sure the dogs, I'm sure, are wearing life vests or, you know, not going to
Yes.
get injured on the job.
Correct.
Can you tell me what you do to ensure the dog safety as well?
So if there is a need for a dog on water, we do training specifically for that. So we get them used to being near a boat, near the water, on the boat, shorter rides, longer rides. Before we even have them start working, we want them to feel comfortable in that situation.
Right. Perfect. Can you tell us, and if you can't, that's okay, but can you share with us some success stories, either from Eli or some of the other dogs from real life situations? I mean, you don't have to name individuals, but maybe give us a few
We're
real
called
life
on
situations.
a variety of different types of searches, and we need to be dispatched by an emergency management personnel. So if you have a family member who's missing and you'd like to use the K9 team, you can't just call us yourself.
Right.
We have to be dispatched appropriately. And we are dispatched for things like missing persons. We can come out and try to do some evidence recovery and that sort of thing. We will not respond to like fugitive types of situations because we're not going to put the dogs in harm's way or ourselves in harm's way. So we're not really doing that type of thing. But when we're called out, we work with the other agencies and try to determine the best way that the dogs can be used. We have been in situations where the dogs were really helpful in either determining a direction of travel, actually finding the person, or giving an indication of where somebody may be underwater.
Sure.
So we've had a little bit of
That's incredible. I'm so amazed by all of this. I love dogs so much, and I'm sure our viewers do too. So this is just an amazing interview. As far as your organization goes on the back end, what are some things that you guys need funded, and how does that work for you? Do you have to apply for grants, or do you have fundraisers?
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. We are totally nonprofit. We rely on fundraising and grant money in order to sustain our programs. Because we are not attached to any type of fire department, fire departments tend to have a type of funding for different grants that are available to fire departments. We are a search and rescue team, but we're not a fire department, so we do not qualify for a lot of those types of grants.
Right.
So we go out and we find unique ways to find grants. We've had a lot of help. Erie County has helped us with some grants in the past. And we use a lot of agencies that are related to dogs to request for grants also.
Okay, and do you have any fundraisers coming up that we can promote
We have
here
a
on the
couple
show?
different
Okay,
fundraisers
good.
coming up. We're going to juniors early in March, and we're doing a
okay.
Thursday night show there. That's on March 3rd. We were just at the mall a week or so ago doing some fundraising there. You may see us outside of Walmart once in a while with the dogs, greeting people as they walk in, asking to help us out. So we're doing a lot of different things. The best way to find out about fundraisers is to go to our website or to find us on Facebook, the Northwest Pennsylvania Canine Search and Rescue.
Okay, perfect. So you have a Facebook page,
Yes.
you have a website, and do you have an email address if people
We
have
do.
some?
It's info@NWPAK9SAR.org.
Perfect. And are people, do you guys need volunteers? Are you always looking for volunteers?
We're always looking for
Okay.
volunteers, yes.
Wonderful.
We'd love to have volunteers for fundraising. We like to have different people come out just to hide for the dogs because it gets kind of boring looking for the same people week after week. So we'd like to do that. Assistance with fundraisers. We're always looking for people to join the team also as search responders.
Well, I know that I would love my dog to do it, but since she can't, I think I will hide for you guys somewhere in the studio. I think we'll play the clip throughout the show. I am so excited to do this. Lori, Amy, and Eli, thank you guys so much for
Thank
coming
you.
into the studio, spending some time with us. We have so many great things here actually on the tabletop that we didn't even get to mention. We've
Right.
got some t-shirts here that you guys sell, and are these...
Paracord bracelets that we
Paracord
sell for
bracelets.
some fundraising.
Perfect, wonderful. And a little canine search and rescue dog. He's got
mascot.
his vest on. And as always, people should ask if they can pet your dog, especially in uniform, but ask to touch or pet the dog first, I think is always a good rule of thumb.
Right.
But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. This, folks, is a very special organization. Of course, dog nonprofit groups are near and dear to my heart. Please check out their website, like their Facebook page, attend their fundraisers, and volunteer for them. You can actually go out into the field and hide for the dogs, and the dog will come and find you. So I think that's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel, and until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.